Welcome to Holistic Wellness for People, Pets, and the Planet, a space where we explore the connections between human well-being, animal wellness, and the world we share. This podcast brings together conversations, insights, and experiences from across the holistic wellness community, including interviews with wellness professionals, thought leaders, and interesting discussions on everyday experiences. I'm your host, Arlana, and through We Wellness, I'll be guiding these conversations to help you discover new perspectives, practical tools, and meaningful connections. Hello and welcome to Holistic Wellness for People, Pets, and the Planet. Today I'm joined by Robin McKay. Robin is a compassionate Jin Shin Jyutsu Practitioner, self-help teacher, and faculty member for Jin Shin Jyutsu for Animals with over 20 years experience supporting people and animals. After 37 years in nursing, she discovered this gentle yet powerful approach to easing stress from everyday overwhelm to deeper experiences. Known for her kind, non-judgmental presence, Robin helps both people and animals connect and restore balance in spirit, mind, and body. Her work offers a natural, thoughtful path, one that allows healing to begin in their own time. Welcome, Robin. How exciting to have you here.
Thank you. It's been a while. I'm together.
Yeah, we had to work really hard to find time for us both to get here, but we are here. I'm really happy that you're here and that I'm learning more about what you do because we have been talking about working together, and I think this is really important information to get out there for everybody. I love how you explained in your bio there about how your area of focus, helping animals and people achieve the best potential mentally, emotionally, physically in life. It's really beautiful. Maybe you could share a little bit more about this and what led you to doing this work.
Well, I kind of had that mission in life for a long time. When I was a nurse, I didn't really realize it, but I was trying to help clients be the best they could be. And then I became a manager, and I was trying to help staff be the best that they could be. So it just evolved into this when I discovered Jin Shin Jyutsu. And how I found it, I had a long nursing career of high stress. An example would be that one of the things I did as a head nurse when I first started was to open a heart-lung transplant unit, and I wasn't even sure at the time that I agreed with that. And it was my first head nurse job, and I was 20. I pried it, and I went from there. I did all kinds of stuff, high stress, and prided myself on how much stress I could handle. And then I was in a bad marriage, and I was in a stressful job, and I started to fall apart. So I did a few things to try and help myself, and along the way I learned about energy work, and I decided I would like to do that when I retired from nursing. So through the Holistic Nurses Association in Alberta, I met a woman 20 years my senior who was also a nurse, and she mentored me and guided me and invited me to my first class, and everything fell into place. And so there I went. And for sale at that class was the Jin Shin Jyutsu for You and Your Animal companion book. And so right off the bat, I'm like, you could do this for animals. So that began this career. And I slowly got out of nursing and built up my practice with animals. I went to the time it was the SPCA here in Red Deer and said, I'm just learning this. Can I volunteer and can I just practice on your animals? And they let me, and I've never looked back. So I've been there just about 20 years now. Helping them and branching out and working with all kinds of animals and seeing the miracles that happen in people's lives and animals' lives that may seem like small little things, but big to the person or the animal, and seeing how Jin Shin Jyutsu helped the being to get better. And so that's how I got into it and why I stay in it.
So it's interesting that, the nursing led you to the holistic wellness, which led you to working with animals. Um, what was the draw that you found you would prefer working with the animals or doing this work with animals instead of continuing with people?
Well, I love both, but I'm 75 now, and I decided that it's time to give up the regular clinic kind of stuff. I loved it when I got there. I loved working with the people, but I began to resent that I was locked into a shift. Um, and the animals have a different way of responding. For people, when you receive Jin Shin Jyutsu, it's about letting go of the stuff that you've been hanging on to. And that leads to blockages in the flow of energy in your body. And so with people, as it opens up, if you think about when your feet go to sleep and you're trying to wake them up, all that tingling and buzzing and stuff that goes on is because you're reestablishing circulation. So when we open up blockages in the flow of energy in the body, you can feel weird things like that too. And in addition to that, old memories come up, old emotions come up, all kinds of things can come up. And as a person, you can tell me. As an animal, you can't tell me in words. You can tell me by walking away. I've had dogs like with their mouth here, gently. Nobody's attacked me, but they don't really know what it is. And I've seen miracles in their lives too. And I've worked on private people, private animals who have issues. And I love working for rescues and helping these animals cope to learn new way of life. Everything has changed in their lives, whether they're an absolute rescue found alongside the road or rescued from abuse, but to the animals that their owner dies and nobody takes the animal. So the animal shows up, at a rescue. I've always had animals, mostly parakeets and cats until I got to be on my own. And then I started with dogs, and I have friends' horses I've worked on, and I've been privileged to work with some amazing animals. There's a man outside of Red Deer who has a herd of camels, and he had two older females that had babies, and the babies weren't nursing very well, and so I went and worked on his animals in exchange for pictures. So I found that pretty exciting. But there's a place I've trained in Florida that has multiple animals, and I've worked on cats, dogs, horses, but I've worked on turtles and of other animals they have had there. Turtles were fascinating. Their response was amazing. And so that's calls to my heart.
Yeah.
When I'm working on a human, I'm working on them on a massage table and I'm hunched over. And my back has said, you don't want to do that part anymore. Animals, I can get right down on the floor with them, lay down with them, put them on a table, do whatever. And my heart goes to them every time I'm with them.
So if you could explain it a little bit more to me, there's physical touch involved with this as well as energy work?
Well, it's a physical touch. It's a very gentle touch. Your body, we're all made of energy. It's that has densed down into physical form. So everything around us that's physical, including our body and our cells and our structure, same for animals, that is energy based.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, within our bodies, we have energy flow. It's just like the heart circulation that goes through the body, but you can't see it with the naked eye unless you're specially gifted. You can feel it. I've learned to feel it. And that's part of the training of being able to work on other people is learning how to feel the pulse of energy and where the blockages are. But when you get blockages that come from stress of any kind, greatly mental, emotional. So think about even if you have a physical stress, you have mental, emotional feeling about that stress. and it leads to a blockage in the body. And so when you begin to get blockages, you get very slow circulation. Sometimes it cuts off. Now, it's not going to be like a blood clot in that you could lose a limb if you got a blood clot in the right spot, but you lose the balance between the mental, physical, and emotional parts of you.
Mm-hmm.
And your body loses its innate capacity to heal itself. So with Jin Shin Jyutsu, through just the gentle touch, wherever we put that, it helps that blockage to open so you can begin to restore the flow of energy. And people will feel that. You can sometimes, some of us are totally unaware and don't pay any attention to our bodies. And we were raised that way, we learn to bury stuff. My mother used to say, don't let anybody know they hurt you. Don't let them see you cry. I bury all that kind of stuff. And it leads to physical, mental, emotional problems. And also what we call digestive, which includes digesting life, not just so when you're imbalanced and your body can't heal itself, you're dependent on sort of the medical field. And you may or may not choose to have that, and they're not perfect either. So this gives you a way of coming into balance, and then your body can again do this. So when you're 60, I think I was 55 when I first heard about it. I'd had a lot of stress in my life, 55 years of stress. So I'm still releasing stuff, but I've been able to do a lot of that, and people can have a treatment where I do the work, and they can learn how to work on themselves. And working on yourself, then you can decide how fast you want to heal, how much you want to do, how much you could tolerate. And it tends to work on what's newer than what's older in the past, because the longer you've had the blockage, we tend to think of it as solidified. Mm-hmm. And it can take a long time to it's not liquid, but we speak of it as if it is. So it can take a long time to re-liquefy that. Mm-hmm. But if something happened to you this morning, you can do Jin Shin Jyutsu, and maybe you can prevent it from even becoming a block. Or something that happened 24 hours ago will open up more quickly than something that happened 24 years ago.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's a combination of intuitive and learning to be more intuitive about what's going on. And also, do you work with just intuitively where the touch is, or is it certain meridians that you're working on, or it's all?
We don't work with what's called meridians.
Okay.
Meridians tend to be physical. We are working with energy as it's coming into the body before it solidifies, so that you can affect that energy before it forms a cell or your nose or your, whatever. So by working with it that way, your thoughts still affect it, but you can help things change. So this may sound extreme, and it probably doesn't. It'll give you an example of why the thoughts can affect it. But by bringing in fresh energy, it can replicate the healthy cells instead of the cancer cells. But if you're thinking, oh, I have cancer, I have cancer, I have cancer, it's going to replicate the cancer cells. But it can open up areas of the body that help bring the body to balance, and then the body can work on helping itself. So it's very simple, because you learn where to touch, whether you're working on yourself or you're working on another person, and you simply touch it. And I can't tell you the total mechanics about how that works, but the touch helps through vibration to open this, we call safety energy locks. There are particular places on the body where energy can get stuck. And it holds that, so it gets blocked. It's like your breaker box at home. So if you have a fuse that blows,
Yeah.
you could go back up that line and cause a problem, but the breaker pops and stops it before it can go set fire to the house or whatever it would do. And so this is similar to that. It can stop it from, going further, leading to more blockages, different things like that. And so we're working with those areas we call safety energy locks. And they are not physical.
That's really quite amazing. And, I found the same thing when I'm working with energy, that even to have people actually relax into it, our touch is so much more conducive to allowing the healing to happen. So
Well,
I totally understand that.
and one of the first things that tends to happen is that the body lets go of that stress. So, and medically, we talk about it being the autonomic nervous system. So you have the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic. And the sympathetic is what your body is designed to kick in place when you are under stress. And so your adrenal glands get involved. I learned your thyroid glands get involved with it. It's a fight or flight. So if you're going to need to fight, you need to have more oxygen to your head so you think clearly. You need more oxygen to your heart and lungs so they can, work better. You need your muscles, your arms and legs to move. So your body shunts a portion of the blood in your system to that part of your body so you can fight off the saber-toothed tiger. And then when it's done, it comes back into balance. So what happens when it gets some of the blood from other parts of the body, then your intestines slow down, your stomach slows down. You don't need those things while you're fighting, and when it comes back into balance. And so what Jin Shin Jyutsu helps to do, and other energy methods, is to relax the body, bring that balance. And I've had people, especially on their first time, because I've learned to condense my sessions so that they don't pay extra for time to learn, like the first time I work on them and I talk to them. But I'll be talking to them and they're like, and out for like the whole session. Totally relaxed. When you're
Wow.
relaxed, it can heal more quickly. So and animals too. I almost had a horse fall on me, just go to sleep and, keel over. And lucky I'd been warned about that. So, that didn't happen, but and some people live their lives like this. And so it takes them longer to and let that go.
Yeah, I imagine. I would think too, then, it can be depending on the person's, how open they are and how ready they are for this healing, how long it takes. Like maybe sometimes you only see a person one session, maybe you have to go back a few times. Is that?
Well, that's fairly common. And what they taught me in the classes I take is that it still works for skeptics, but it takes longer because you're not open like that.
Mm,
I find that because Jin Shin Jyutsu is not covered by insurance, I've had some organizations that have a healthy benefit thing. So if you do things that keep you healthy, they'll pay for part of that. So people don't want to come for a whole bunch of time and out of pocket. It's hard for them. So they'll come in with fix my shoulder. Oh my God, I've had this 20 years
yeah.
and fix something else. And so I also understand that I don't have a diagram to picture this, but one of my teachers explained it this way. If you have a circle and you imagine that you have a belief system and then you have a response system. So something happens, you have a belief that that's going to continue to happen, and it goes around a circle and it happens again, it happens again, it happens again. But if you make a change, then possibly that won't happen again, or it'll happen differently. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes that change is Jin Shin Jyutsu. And so if a person comes and they come one time, that's probably they were searching for something to move forward, and that was enough for them to then move forward in that pathway. But a big part of Jin Shin Jyutsu is self-help. And so I teach people where to touch, how to touch, and whenever they would come for a visit, I would give them something specific based on what I see in their body and teach them how to do it and send them away and let them do that. Not teach them, 5 days worth like I have in an hour. Just a little simple thing that they can go and do. And sometimes that's holding a finger. So you just hold a finger, not up like this. You just relax it, and that can help you in ways that you can't believe. Now with animals, we don't hold fingers. They're not very many of them like you to hold their toes. And so we have other ways of working through that. We also don't teach them self-help. They can't work on themselves. But with people, it's very helpful because the more you do on a regular, consistent basis, the more profound the results will be. I looked at it when I first started like this is a block. And so maybe in one session, I'll open it this way. It'll be like this. And in another, it might. But recognizing that we live in a stressful world. So I might open you up like this and you go outside on a rainy day in your pretty white dress and the car goes and sprays it all over you. That's stress. It might go. So it's not permanent. Life still happens.
Yeah.
Self-help gives you the ability to deal with that.
Yeah. To kind of get control of it and it's got to be really empowering to start to realize that you can take back some of that control, and help yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's nice.
Think of it as control. It's release.
Release, yeah.
But you are in charge of how, if you want to go through it fast, if you want to go through it slow, if you just want to do it, help you sleep, those things are up to you. And that's, when I was a nurse, because I'm an ICU nurse, and I give somebody a choice of, do you want a bath now or in 10 minutes? Those are the choices, because I was the boss. Now it's like, here is a way to help yourself. You do it at your rate, your choice, which is so freeing for me and them.
Yeah. Well, it gives them the option to actually be emotionally, energetically open to it as well.
Yeah.
It's not like, here it is, do it. It's like inviting them
Yes.
to do that for themselves.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you primarily need to work with people in person then when you first start with them, or do you work online as well?
I prefer not to work online, but recently I'm saying the universe is telling me that I need to learn to do that. So I have, when I started, I would practice on my family who are in the States. And so I'd work on them from afar. But I really like touch. I am a touchy-feely person.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do much of it. I think what really got me going is last year I worked with a dog, farm dog, who was very injured, had chased after something, came back wounded. The people are very far from a vet, so and their own vet had passed away, so they were driving 3 miles to go to a vet, and the dog was not getting better. And they try and do everything naturally. So I was referred to them, and I treated this dog every day by connecting and then sending energy and working with that dog. And over the phone, I taught the family how to do certain holds for the dog. So the dog was they had 3 kids, the kids all took their turns, mom, dad, me. And that dog got better.
Wow.
So for me, that was like, oh, maybe I should do more of this.
It does work.
Recently, a woman I used to work with, her sister was in a terrible accident. She was riding her motorcycle and some drunk came up behind her and crammed into her. and she was in a coma for a couple of days. And so Shelley had reached out to everybody she knows and said, could you pray for her? And I said, I'll do Jin Shin Jyutsu for her. And I put it out to international group, and 5 people signed up to help. And so we all did distance in very short doses for her for 3 days. And we didn't find out about it until the 3rd day. They were just waking her up. And in 7 days, she was transferred out of that trauma unit over to a rural hospital. Other than feeling sore, she was very good. And so then the 3rd thing is, recently one of my teachers just announced that she's doing distance healing class. And I thought, yes, I better start.
You thought about it, and now here it shows up. It's
So, so that's kind of been my experience with doing it from a distance. And I guess I'm going to be a lot more open to it now.
Well, that's awesome. So you're thinking about you're going to open yourself up, maybe do some distance work. If people want to look into this or learn more about it, how do you suggest that they start? Should they give you a phone call? Should they research it? How's a good way to really find out more about it?
You can certainly give me a call and or email me, and I can get you find out what it is that you're interested in learning. If I could teach it, I will. If you need to take classes, I can advise you on where and how to do that.
Well, I will definitely put all that information into the description so people can reach out to you. And so you talked about how you got to this point and kind of the direction you're moving in right now. This has been really, really informative for me. I understand it, I think, a whole lot better than I did coming into this. So I love that. Is there anything else you want people to know? Anything that you think, what's maybe the most important thing that you want people to understand about your work or this work at all?
Well, the first thing that I want people to get rid of is the misconception that this is the devil's work. Quantum physics. And that's how it works, through the energy, through the quantum field. And I've run into a lot of people that are like, I'm into the science. Well, did you take quantum physics? So I don't say that to them. But there's a lot of fear of the unknown. And this is very gentle. I guess if you were going to be fearful, it's because maybe something awful happened to you and you have tucked that away. And you're afraid of the pain when it comes up. And what I can say I've experienced and my clients have experienced is that is over. And yes, it was painful. And as long as you keep it in there, that emotion's going to feel pain. Jin Shin Jyutsu may or may not take the whole memory away, but the first thing that it does is allow you to let go of that emotion to the point where you can have the memory and not have any of that emotion with it. And it makes your life much, much easier. And a release for that, for humans, tends to be crying. And I don't know about you, but as I said, my mother said, don't cry, in front of other people. And we have this aversion to crying, and crying is a release. Well, Jin Shin Jyutsu helps you. You don't have to relive it. Like sometimes counselors, if you go through PTSD, want you to repeat it over and over and over and over. You don't have to tell me anything about it. Just breathe through it. You do nice, slow, deep breaths. It helps that emotion come out and go away. You can choose to rebury it, but then it's still down there. And so with a practitioner, they can assist you with doing that. It's easier to do that when somebody's helping you than when oh, that hurts. You're doing it yourself. So that's one of the things. I have in my notes here, one of the things that I really, really wanted to stress is that this is very simple to do. You do not have to understand it. You just need to do the work. And there are people out there that can help you. There are books out there that can help you. When I started this, there weren't many videos or anything. COVID helped that. So we took all these touchy-feely people and put them on videos. And so there you can research and you can look for Jin Shin Jyutsu itself. You can look for Jin Shin Jyutsu for animals, and you'll get all kinds of information and videos to help you do yourself. The people, although I've given up my people part of my business, when I come to somebody's home to work on their animal, generally by the time they call me, the person is going through a lot of angst, and you pass that to your animal. So your animal has its own issues and then takes on all your emotions and stuff that's going on too. So I highly recommend, and I bring a massage table and treat the person and the animal, if that's possible. And that's the reason I do that, is so that they can go into parasympathetic before they touch their animal and continue to pass, bad energy, negative energy. We don't look at it as bad or negative, but
Yeah, that's very powerful, and it's awesome that you include that, because there is a lot of that that people don't understand how strong, their emotions, their stress, their anxiety is picked up by the animals. And so that's part of their healing, is that you need to create a environment that is good, helps them to continue their healing. And like you said, for people, they can kind of you can show them your fist and the idea of it, how they're releasing or they're tightening up again. But for the animal, you have to do what you can. But if you can get the person on board, then they understand it's more important for them to recognize that in themselves and to be aware of that for the sake of their pet, right?
it's only been, I don't know, in the last 30 years that humans, maybe a little longer, realize that animals aren't dumb and deaf, dumb friends, and that they have their own emotions and they have their own thoughts and they have their own experiences. And through animal communication, people have learned a lot about it, and animals tend not to want to talk about it. But if you can, kind of get in there. The other thing I would mention that happens with animals, so when I talked earlier about if you have a funny feeling while I'm working on you, and you could say, "Ooh, that's weird," or, whatever, an animal tends to walk away.
Mm.
Back, you can continue. If you don't come back, you come back later. So I have had animals in rescues, one dog in particular that would let me touch him for 15 seconds. And he walked around me in a chair, and I held my hand, and he stopped underneath my hand, and then he'd walk around, and then he'd come back. And we did that for 45 minutes. And that's all he would let me do, because that's all he could handle.
Mhm.
So animals it's harder for them to communicate to you, that I need a break or stop that, or, that kind of thing.
But they're more open to it.
They tend to be more open to it, but you don't really know what has happened to an animal. Just like with a person, the same thing could happen to you and I, and one of us falls apart and the other one doesn't. The same thing would be with animals.
Mhm.
They're all individuals. They came with different genetics. They came with different experiences. Some are more sensitive to stuff than others. So we don't really know what that is, and you have to kind of watch for that. They'll give you signs, and you can watch for those.
Mhm. That's really amazing.
It's more. So sometimes it's better to do less than to force more.
Right. Well, I think this has been really an amazing conversation, and I think it explains a lot and takes out, demystifies a lot of the work that you do. And also you've talked about the misconceptions and stuff that people might have around it. And so I'm really excited that we did find the time to get together and to, really explore this a little bit, and all of your successes and the work that you're doing. It's transformational for the people and the animals. So again, thank you so much, Robin, for putting aside some time to come and talk to me about it.
And I want to thank you for inviting me, because it is newer to Canada, and there's a lot of us that practice on animals. I am the only faculty teacher in Canada, and so it doesn't, spread that far. And so getting the word out, but also I've seen what it does for people and animals, and it is my passion. So I'm ecstatic that you've been able to offer this for me and spread it around.
Well, we'll do our best to get it out there so as many people see it as possible. And like I said, I will put all of your contact information, your Facebook page, your email, and your phone number in the description if you're okay with that. I've got your Facebook page here, so I think we're all good to go. Again, thanks so much. I look forward to seeing you. Maybe we will actually find a way to get together, maybe in the fall. I doubt in the summer now.
Looking like October for me, so.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? All right, thanks again. So for everyone listening, I invite you to take a moment to notice what stood out for you today and how it might support you or even someone you know on their journey. Please share this podcast with someone who may enjoy the content, and I would really love to hear your takeaways. Feel free to leave your comments and your questions in the comments below, and I will forward anything on that comes in directly to Robin if you don't reach out to her directly. And until next time, be well, stay open, and I look forward to sharing more with you on this podcast, Holistic Wellness for People, Pets, and the Planet. Once again, I'd like to say thank you to our wonderful guest for sharing such insightful and practical information with us today. If you would like to connect with them for more information or to book a session, everything is listed in the details below. If you found value in today's conversation, please like, share, and comment. And I invite you to follow the podcast and share it with someone who may also enjoy this content. You can find more resources and connect with trusted holistic wellness professionals through the We Wellness Network and by joining our People, Pets, and the Planet community. You can find all the links in the description below. We Wellness is here to support a more holistic connection for people, pets, and the planet.